This video falls under the broad category of the dangers of oncoming traffic. Here specifically, we're having a look at where a vehicle is traveling the wrong direction down a road on the side facing oncoming traffic. Let's have a look at the animation and then we'll discuss a few points. Here the driver of the red vehicle had mistakenly thought that he was turning into the right-hand lane instead of noticing the island and that his side of the road is actually on the far side. So mistakenly thought this is the right side of the road and oncoming traffic would be coming down this side. Now there are a number of reasons why a driver would land up on the wrong side of the road, intentionally or unintentionally. Each of the successive real-life clips that we'll have a look at, I've taken and categorized and arranged from the least serious and the least culpable, progressing to the more serious and the most culpable of the incidents. In the first one, we'll see that the driver facing the oncoming traffic realizes that they've made a mistake, taken a wrong turn, and immediately tries to rectify the situation. And say in a situation like this, fortunately, vehicles not traveling at speed. Others notice this oncoming vehicle traveling in the wrong direction, and the driver waits patiently and cautiously before turning around and trying to rectify the situation. The next one is a little bit similar. Driver perhaps not paying attention, takes a right turn into a one-way lane, immediately realizes it and tries to move out of the zone of danger, trying not to cause any further damage or hazard to oncoming vehicles, and no doubt turns around and then faces the right direction. There's a one-way sign here, but probably busy in some or other way, so I didn't really take notice of the street signs. And perhaps we've done that from time to time. We're not really noticing what we're doing, and perhaps have turned into a road the wrong direction. But the main thing is that we try and avoid any further confusion or hazard to oncoming motorists and try and rectify the situation safely. So that's what this driver does. In this next one, I've included this clip because you'll see the arrangement here is a little bit confusing. The road splits for vehicles traveling in this direction, and so vehicles can come down this side of the island in order to turn to the left. Let's just progress it a little bit. And here we see the driver of the black vehicle thinking that he's actually on this side of the island, so he must be in the correct lane over here. Didn't pay attention to the road markings, but this area is somewhat confusing because of this island that one would naturally think divides the lanes of traffic on the far side going in that direction and on this side of the island to be traveling in this direction. But yet too, the driver realizes that there's something amiss, slows down, moves to the side to try and avoid any oncoming traffic, and no doubt would have rectified the situation. We don't see that part of the video, but you can see the driver is acting with caution. The next one covers a traffic circle or a roundabout, and this is an area of confusion for a lot of people. So I have a separate page on the website that deals with traffic circles, and we go into a lot of detail there as to how to navigate a traffic circle, the correct way to use traffic circles, because of the fact that it's so confusing to a lot of people. So this driver as well, somewhat confused in taking a left turn instead of going on the far side through the roundabout, and now has entered into the road facing the wrong direction. But yet too, the driver's cautious, realizes they've made a mistake, tries to pull a little bit to the side to get out of the way of any oncoming traffic, and slows down. Now we're getting to a little bit more serious and culpable drivers as we're progressing, and as I mentioned at the outset in the animation. So the next driver is totally oblivious on the wrong side of the road, traveling for quite a distance. At this stage, the driver should have realized that there is a solid yellow line there, and he's on the wrong side of that yellow line. Also sees a vehicle coming down the side of the road. Should have been aware, but totally oblivious, as the text here says, completely oblivious, and still continues without taking any corrective action. In the next clip, we have a driver who's not mistaken or confused anyway. So this is intentional behavior. This driver must have taken the off-ramp, realized they've taken a wrong turning, and so decided to turn around, come back down the off-ramp in the wrong direction in order to get back onto the freeway. At least this driver, if nothing else, is somewhat cautious because they've pulled to the side of the road. They're waiting for any passing traffic to clear before going further, and at least acting a little bit responsibly, although the maneuver that they're carrying out is totally irresponsible. Next clip, getting to be a little bit more serious. So yeah, vehicle trying to cut through this turn-off section in the wrong direction. Now it tries to weave itself through this traffic in order to get to the road on the far side. It's hard to say what the intentions of the driver was over here, but they would have had to take a turning that was totally way out of where they would normally be traveling. So we see these vehicles on the far side there. No doubt this vehicle was in that lane, but for whatever reason decided to try and take a shortcut, maybe to avoid the traffic light and try and beat the traffic. We don't know, but certainly irresponsible behavior, not trying to rectify the situation in any way by stopping and reversing and to get out of the way to clear the traffic for any oncoming motorists. It just goes ahead, tries to weave through the traffic. The next clip, we have a motorist coming also down the wrong direction in the road. Could possibly have taken a wrong turning a little bit further up, but instead of realizing that they're on the wrong side of the road, facing a whole line of oncoming vehicles, trying to rectify the situation by perhaps stopping, reversing to get out of the way and turning around. Now this driver decides they're still going to go ahead stubbornly. The rest of the traffic must move out of their way so that they can go where they want to go. The next one is more serious in that higher speeds are involved. So on a freeway, it is more dangerous because of the higher speeds. And here we have a vehicle traveling down the wrong side of the road at speed, but at least, if nothing else, being just somewhat cautious by riding on the shoulder of the road. Now, in this clip, there is text to mention that this was a stolen vehicle, and so one can understand where a thief is maybe trying to make a getaway from police vehicles that are chasing it, that they carry out radical maneuvers in order to try and get away, and so one could expect something like this. I've also got a separate page on the website that deals with criminality, and so I'll put a link in the description section of the video below that you can go and have a look at that as well. In this clip, one has to describe this sort of behavior as nothing other than stupidity. A driver coming down an on-ramp here decides to turn left going the wrong direction down the freeway and not even looking for oncoming traffic, results in a collision at speed. And so one just wonders what's in the mind of a driver such as that. The next clip, which is the last clip, is the most culpable and also dangerous because of the speed. And here we have a driver who doesn't even try in any way to take any corrective action, doesn't drive on the shoulder of the road. No, he's driving well into the lane on the higher speed side of the lane as well. And so doesn't slow down, doesn't try and avert the traffic in any way, but just goes doggedly ahead. And so one can only wonder what's in the mind of a driver such as this. Is it that they're perhaps on some sort of substance abuse that makes them fearless, they don't perceive reality? But the idea of all these clips is really to highlight that second golden rule, to expect the unexpected. So we can never just travel along thinking that things will go as per normal. We've always got to be on the alert to expect that something unusual is going to happen. Fortunately for the camera, he was alert, could move out of the way in time. But you can imagine, had he not realized this oncoming vehicle was in his path and there was a head-on collision, because this driver makes no effort to slow down or move out the way in any way. And so it could have been a serious situation. So we've got to always be aware that unexpected events can happen. And that's part of the purpose of this course, is to help us to think along those lines, not just to drive along casually and think that the status quo will remain, that we're safe, looks to be okay, but always expect that something unexpected could arise. Please like, subscribe, and get notified.